What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Why You Should Love with me, TheLonesomeRavidor. And today, guys and gals, we are doing a Why You Should Love on Call of Duty 4. Now, I don't know, I said like Call of Duty. I sound like a bit American. But anyway, the reason we're doing this one, and I'll sort of explain this to the sort of side thing as well. The reason we're doing this one is mainly because of the fact that I'm starting to run out of games. But the main reason I really do want to talk about this one is because Call of Duty 4 is my favourite Call of Duty out of a lot of them. Now, not everyone kind of agrees with that. Everyone kind of has their normal preference on what Call of Duty is their normal favourite. But 4 is always my favourite. It always has been. It was probably the first one I actually owned as well, like properly. I think I played 3 and 2 back in the day. I never played 1, I don't believe. But anyway, but yeah, so 4's always been like quite important to me, and important to me. It's always been quite like a big part of my gaming career in a sense, like career, but you know, legacy and legacy. You know what I mean. But anyway, so Call of Duty 4 is probably my favorite one. And as a little side note, guys, we're gonna, in a sense, like to show you guys why you should love this one, we're gonna sort of say as to why you should love it more than the others in a sense. Kinda, but not, like, obviously judge the other ones as well, because I don't like to say any other game's bad, but I like to say this one's the best, if you get what I mean. If that kind of makes sense. But anyway, guys and gals, let's start with my first point. So when it comes down to Call of Duty 4, the things that you've got to understand is when you played the storyline on this one for the first time, this was the first Call of Duty which was really hit the mainstream consoles. With Call of Duty 3 coming on Xbox 360 and PS3, this was the first one that really kind of, like, hit the stores. Everyone, like, it was a straight away bestseller, everyone wanted it, because it was the next big thing. When it comes down to the storyline, though, a lot of people did kind of, like, a lot of people played the storyline, because obviously this was back in the day when CODs were still actually bought for their storylines, rather than actually just being bought for the multiplayers like they are now. Like no one really plays the multiplayer, like the storyline now on CODs, unfortunately. They do, but normally not quite as like dedicated as they did on this one. But anyway, when it comes down to Call of Duty 4 though, the game itself kind of had that massive impactfulness that was needed in Call of Duties, like back in the day. Like, 'cause obviously the whole aspect of war is a very deep and important thing, and very like strong, and like it's important in what happens, and it can be quite deadly and dramatic altogether. And obviously with Call of Duty 4 was the most like landmarking kind of like situation in most of the Call of Duties altogether, was when the bomb hit in one of the levels. If you guys, I would avoid spoiling anything for you, but at one point an atomic bomb goes off and you do not expect this to happen, and all of a sudden your character at one point is basically, you're playing a character and you're basically just dragging yourself out of this, like trying to get away from this nuclear explosion. As you drag yourself out of like a wrecked helicopter, and just as you sort of like you think something better is going to happen, another explosion, just like the aftershock, obviously. I thought it was called the afterblast or something like that. Like then like is the last thing finishes you off. It's like, what the fuck? Obviously you don't expect that, because it's quite a deep moment, as you actually do feel like you're sort of clinging onto life at that last point. And I think that's actually quite a good reason to love it. And I mean, there's a lot of other dramatic points as well. There's a fantastic mission where you're actually a sniper, which has then inspired the mission in World at War for the sniping point, which is also a very good mission, and is a lot better. But if we then compare the storyline, this one, to actually compare it to, say, like the Black Ops 1 storyline, and the, whichever one should I say, maybe the Modern Warfare 2, actually the Modern Warfare 3 storyline, probably we'll do Black Ops 2 and Black Ops... No, Black Ops... We'll say Black Ops... Sorry, I can't make up my mind. I'll probably say Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 3. That's probably the two that I'd say, because that's probably number 2 I've played the most. And when it comes to the Black Ops 1 storyline, although the storyline was decent, and obviously had some good like voice actors come into it, and obviously Call of Duty 4 did as well. But, obviously in Black Ops 1 it had Sam Worthington voice the main guy, Mason. But the main aspect behind that one that was really kind of let it down was it was very action-based. It had the whole... This is sort of like, we are the cool hip guys, look what we can do with our new console and stuff like that. Whereas in COD 4, it focused more on the development of characters, development of the whole aspect of the whole battle behind everything. And obviously, oh, sorry, I just bashed the mic a bit there. But with the whole Black Ops 1 one, all you ever really got was, pew, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. Especially with the agent mission at one point, where you start flying around the place and you're just sort of like, just grappling and stuff. But I mean, it's a decent game. It's a decent like storyline. I thought it was well done for what it was, but the fact is it misses what Call of Duty 4 did really, really well, was the whole feeling behind it. It had a strong emotional attachment to you and the characters. But yeah, anyway, guys and gals, I think that's really about for that point. But let's move on to my second point. By the way, guys, I do apologize if I look really, really hot or warm, and if I apologize if you can hear any noise in the background. I have the window open. It is extremely hot in England at the moment, and I'm just sort of like trying to cool myself off. But anyway, let's continue on to the second point. So obviously this is going to come up, but the multiplayer in Call of Duty 4, personally, is easily the best multiplayer out of a lot of them. Now, a lot of people probably would disagree with me on this, because obviously Call of Duty 4 was very limited on what you could do and customizing your classes. Obviously, with the weapons being either... The customization was like when you're playing COD 4, like for the first time, before any of the other CODs came out, you kind of played it with the intent of saying like, oh, I wish it had this, I wish it had this, I wish it had this, like I wish it could extend more, have more attachments, I wish it could like have more perks, I wish it could have more grenades, I wish it could have more blah blah blah. All stuff which they explored more further in the future with adding them features on. But as soon as they added it on, you kind of missed the whole like classic feel to it. Obviously in a sense, I'm saying that the other ones have better multiplayer and have, but in a sense, probably have better customization with the classes. But the fact is, the limitations on the first Call of Duty was like the first Call of Duty, sorry, the Call of Duty 4. They made the Call of Duty what it was, and it made that core kind of like emphasis to what the classes kind of like were great and like how they were much better through that. Anyway, but yeah, so like the pure like this, it was very equal classes, like equal weapons, equal everything in a sense. This was very equal in what it actually could do, and like what the classes could do and the guns could do, and all that. Everyone could sort of play based on what they liked, and they could sort of like, it's hard to put it in like a normal way in a sense. Like it's like everyone can do their own thing in a sense, but they can also be on par to other people that do their own thing. Whereas, like, if someone on Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 2 is a good example. I played a lot of Black Ops 2 on my day. Does their own thing. A lot of the time, they can be rather OP. Like, for example, if someone uses the submachine gun a lot, then they can just, like obliterate everyone on the other team if they're quick enough with the gun. Whereas on Call of Duty 4, you kind of lack that aspect. Besides maybe the power of the MP5. I don't know. Maybe that's the best way to put it. I guess that's the only way I can really put it, but if you guys get what I mean, it's sort of like Call of Duty 4 has a classic kind of like multiplayer feel to it. Anyway, guys and gals, let's move on to my third point. So when it comes down to the Call of Duty 4, a lot of people kind of forget about this because kind of a lot of people kind of grown into the genre of Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. Actually, I'd probably say a lot of people have kind of grown more into the Modern Warfare 3 genre onwards. Actually, maybe that's a lie, actually. I'd probably say the Black Ops 1 onwards. But anyway, people have kind of forgotten about how Call of Duty 4 was the one that started it all off. I'm saying this very generally. I don't actually mean everyone has forgotten this. I understand a huge amount of fan base is behind Call of Duty 4, and this is probably one of the games which people do love the most, and a lot of people's favorite. But I mean, it's not everyone's favorite. That's not exactly a problem, but that's my opinion as to why. You know, I mean, I'm trying to say this should be people's favorite. Anyway, what was I saying? But this was the one that actually really kind of started it all off. This is the one that really made the repetitive, fantastic, well-made, perfectly molded multiplayer, which everyone adored and everyone wanted to play more and more and more of. Even though there wasn't really that much of a goal, once you kind of hit prestige, you were willing to then start again and go all the way again just for a change badge, and then keep doing it over and over again until you got the maximum of level. Just because of the fact that the multiplayer was that cool. That's fantastically awesome. I mean, not many games can generally do that well. I mean, obviously, Call of Duty always has managed to do that somehow that well. But when it comes down to also very cool multiplayers, like, say, Spec Ops: The Line, GTA, Red Dead Redemption, sorry for the background noise, I'm trying to look around for inspiration, but I mean, when it comes down to them, they had very popular multiplayers, but not quite as, like, people weren't always, like, drilling them, they weren't, like, just constantly on them like Call of Duty servers are. Showing that Call of Duty 4 started it all and made that first, like, very, 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 like inspired, like, the whole world of, like, Call of Duty and what it could do, and just the power behind, like, what a repetitive, that's the word, repetitive game could do, you know what I mean, like, how it can aspire to be something better through being a simple thing, if you get what I mean. I'm kind of putting it in a bad way, but what I basically mean is the multiplayer started off as Call of Duty 4, developed into what it is now, but it wouldn't have developed into what it is now if it was never, like, originally at Call of Duty 4. So I think you should give it respect for what it was as a classic, a fantastic multiplayer. And personally, I would say arguably does it better than the rest of the games, but I don't want to say that because obviously, I think that, but I'm not going to push that towards you guys because obviously I don't know if you guys would agree, and I don't want you guys to think it otherwise. Anyway, let's move on to my fourth and mixed with 5 points. So when it comes down to Call of Duty 4, I personally think that when you mix ahead the game, this is the sort of like mixture of a fourth and fifth point. The game itself mixes two things together. I think it mixes a classic feel behind it, like with the whole classic kind of like movement and stuff, like the way it like freelances the moved around, like not freelances obviously, it doesn't move itself around, but the way it's just sort of smoothly moved around, like it just, like the whole actions, the animations were fantastic, the graphics were amazing for its time, and the way it just sort of like fluently moved around, like you could just, everything moved just whoosh, done, whoosh, done. It was like, it was just so perfect in the way it moved and everything like that. It had that classic kind of like move to it. It also had that classy kind of look to it, where it did look fantastic and had them perfect guns, had the perfect animation. Everything was so good about it. It was just like, there was no like real points in which you could say there was anything bad about it. Some of the guns, fair enough, on the multiplayer were kind of OP. The MP5 was well renowned for being like kind of a very quick to level up kind of gun. I used it a lot back in my day, and I kind of like obliterated a lot of the you know, when you play the game a lot, you kind of get used to which guns are good. MP5 really does just like done. It was like very kind of like, I wouldn't say cheap, but I'd call myself cheap for using it. If you know what I mean, like I see myself as being very cheap for using it. Anyway, but yeah, it has that kind of like essence of like. I'm trying to cut this short, by the way. It's the reason I mixed 4 and 5 together, because I'm like dragging on a bit. But it has that essence of just like being an awesome game. It's just. I don't know, it's hard to define. I mean, the game, you got so much reward for what it was, and it's definitely started off something amazing, and it has not stopped yet. And I cannot wait for them to actually finally come back and just like revisit the whole classic kind of genre to it. I mean, it's the reason I did kind of enjoy Modern Warfare 3 quite a lot. I enjoyed the multiplayer on that quite a lot, and I've enjoyed Black Ops 2 multiplayer quite a lot as well. I haven't played Ghosts all that much myself. Probably the only one I haven't really played is Ghosts, and I haven't played Modern Warfare 2 that much myself as well. I don't know why, I just never really have, but yeah. So I mean, they kind of revisit that in Modern Warfare 3. That if we compare the whole classy and classicness to Modern Warfare 1 to Modern Warfare 3. You kind of see that a lot more in Modern Warfare 3 than compared to Modern Warfare 2, but I didn't play much. I played for a minuscule amount of time, even though there was a lot of people's like favorite, a lot. So it was a fair amount of people's favorite actually. But anyway, but yeah, so there's a lot of people. But I mean, if you compare it to the Modern Warfare 3 kind of classy and classicness, the way in which it sort of moves in Modern Warfare 3, they sort of brought that back a bit. But even then, when they tried, well, they don't try obviously to copy COD 4. They try and develop and make it better. But in a sense, due to the fact they tried to add so much, they add different kind of things, different like airstrikes and like different kind of like kill streaks and stuff like that. It just took away the classicness to it. It added classiness, but it just took away the classic kind of level to it. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say kind of like arguably what is actually the true points behind the difference between the two, because you can't really just put your finger on it, because everybody has different experiences when it comes down to online games, and that's one of the main things you cannot define. It's just so I have different experiences than anyone else would online. I mean, I might be better than your next door neighbor, but your next door neighbor could be better than the guy down the road, and I might be worse at, like, say, Black Ops 1 than you are, and you guys are fantastic at something which I'm really bad at, like, I don't know. But I mean, it's like everyone has different experiences, so you can't really define as to what everyone's experience should be, or to say as to why they should, like, say it, like, love it so much. But I mean, personally, I think you should love it as the points I've just said. But if you're talking about just classic and classiness, I'm kind of dragging the song, so I'm kind of repeating myself. But if you really, really define it, like, down to the core, COD 4 had what a lot of CODs lack now, and it was just simply that there's a feeling behind it. You can't really explain it, but there's just that true. Anyone that really loves COD 4 will understand exactly what I mean, but it's just something behind it. Like, now I come back to the game, I'm so happy. I mean, I always try and convince my friends when they come around to have a full player game with me, just like a split screen thing, just for the pure sake of it. And I love it, to be fair. I love COD 4 altogether, and it's just amazing. Anyway, guys and gals, I'm going to stop this now because I keep kind of dragging this on quite a bit. I've been TheLonesomeRavidor. Once again, you guys are beautiful as per ever. Can't wait to see you guys in the next video. As per ever, if you guys enjoy this, why you should love, then make sure you tell me in the comment description next as to what video we should do next. Well, I should do next, not we. Unfortunately, I'm the team solo, you know, riding solo. Anyway, guys and gals, I've been TheLonesomeRavidor. Once again, you guys are beautiful as per ever. Say la vie, hasta la vista, and goodbye. Woo!